Hello, I'm Isaac Way, and I'm hanging out to talk to you about the silent killer, blood pressure. I've been measuring my blood pressure 5 to 7 days a week for the last 10 months. I've been tracking my progress from stage 2 hypertension to normal optimal levels. And I'm here to show you how I went from carefree, high-calorie burgers to more potassium-packed fibrous foods to improve my heart health by lowering my blood pressure. Now for a somber statistic. One person has died of cardiovascular disease since you started watching this video. This video contains my entire muscle building protein, high fiber, and high potassium to sodium ratio diet. I have the latest studies on these topics below, and in part 2 I'll be sharing my sleep schedule, breathing, time in nature, and exercise program. If you currently have high blood pressure and you can get it under control, you may be adding years to your life. They're going to be healthier, more capable years too. Who really wants to live longer if you're not healthy? Up next is a high stress situation that is sadly becoming too common in the United States. I just showed the immediate aftermath of a high-stress situation, a shooting at an intersection to the left of the camera. A teenager was killed and 3 others, including a DC police officer, were shot and injured during this 2022 Juneteenth celebration. High-stress situations like this make our heart beat faster, narrowing our blood vessels and increasing sugar and fat levels in the blood while raising our blood pressure. This is the type of high-stress situation that may trigger a stroke or sudden cardiac arrest, which may be the very first sign of a heart attack and cardiovascular disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for men, women, and people in most racial and ethnic groups in the United States. A major risk factor is high blood pressure. I'm interrupting this to tell you that another person has died of cardiovascular disease since you started watching. Yes. 1 person in every 33 seconds in the United States dies from cardiovascular disease. And there are misconceptions that contribute to why half of the US adult population has high blood pressure. And I'm going to start clearing those misconceptions up right now. In the January 2023 study, 64% of US adults expressed confidence in their understanding of blood pressure numbers, but only 39% actually knew what normal or healthy blood pressure is. That's a difference of 25%. This high level of ignorance keeps people from addressing the problem of high blood pressure. To be clear, high blood pressure or hypertension is defined as greater than or equal to 130/80 millimeters of mercury. This includes approximately 45% of US adults. Of these adults, 81% are treated with anti-hypertension medication and lifestyle modification, but only 24% have controlled blood pressure, which is under 130/80. According to the American Heart Association, systolic blood pressure, which is the first number, indicates how much blood pressure your blood is exerting against your artery walls when the heart contracts. Diastolic blood pressure, which is the second number, indicates how much pressure your blood is exerting against your artery walls while the heart muscle is resting between contractions. More attention is given to systolic blood pressure. The first number has a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease for people over 50. In most people, systolic blood pressure rises steadily with age due to the increasing stiffness of large arteries, long-term buildup of plaque, and increased incidence of cardiac and vascular disease. Along with age, there are several other factors that increase the risk of high blood pressure, and let's take a look at them. The first is elevated blood pressure. Once already elevated, which is over 120 and 80, we're towing the line, and any of the following factors can push us into stage 1 and 2 hypertension in no time. Unhealthy diets, physical inactivity, obesity, alcohol, smoking, Genetics and family history all play a role, as well as age, which increases as we get older. Looking at race or ethnicity, Black adults, 59% have the highest prevalence of hypertension or self-reported antihypertensive medication, compared with whites, 47%, Asian, 45%, and Hispanic, 44% of adults. Compared to white people, Black people also develop high blood pressure earlier in life. There are lots of studies now looking at the role of psychosocial stress and blood pressure, which more than doubles the risk of hypertension. The most related factors being post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and work stress. The factors that were most related to an increase in cardiovascular disease were informal care, lower socioeconomic status, severe mental disorders, marital status, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So as you can see, there are a lot of things that influence high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. Let's go back and provide some context. At the end of last year in October and November, I was waking up 4 to 6 times a night, losing my appetite and becoming more tired throughout the day. I weighed 185 to 190 pounds. I needed to eat over 3,100 calories daily to maintain my weight. I was doing time-restricted eating, not for weight loss, but for other health benefits. So my eating window was breakfast at 10 and I stopped eating at 8 p.m. In order to keep up with the calories and eat something I had an appetite for, I was resorting to more restaurant food like burgers. And savory food are an easy way to meet the calorie demands and consume 1,000 plus calories in less than a couple of minutes. I was moving more towards the typical American diet and further away from my previously healthy diet. I thought that with poor sleep and a lack of appetite, I should be aware of my blood pressure, so I bought a highly recommended blood pressure monitor, and the first reading came back red. I was at 143/88. I had stage 2 hypertension again. Yes, I had high blood pressure, as in stage 2 hypertension 10 years ago when I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome in my ankles. I changed my diet to help with the chronic pain and hypertension back then, and I overcame CRPS. But that story is for a future video. I'm mentioning this because I did a review of what I ate back then and looked back at my diet pre-COVID to help me get my food back in line. The 2 major changes I made to my diet are being aware of fiber and sodium to potassium ratios and tracking them. This means when looking at food with listed nutrition facts, I'm avoiding sodium that is higher than the total calories and sodium that is higher than potassium listed. Ideally, the potassium listed is 2 to 3 times greater than the sodium. There's a strong relationship between high sodium intake and adequate potassium intake and hypertension. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not an extremist demonizing sodium. Sodium is very important when we're sweating a lot. Let's check this out. As seen here, sodium and chloride are depleted in much higher levels than potassium. So on days when I'm doing cardio or hiking, I do consume more sodium. With that said, in order to lower my blood pressure, I follow the 1,500 milligrams of blood pressure recommendation up to the daily recommendation of 2,300 milligrams, which is 1 teaspoon of salt, or if you look at this, most of these Savory wraps, that's 1 serving. Some estimates show that average American consumes 3,400 plus milligrams of sodium and under 2,500 milligrams of potassium. That ratio highly favors sodium, and to lower my blood pressure, I want to shift and expand that focus into potassium's favor. Potassium not only plays a role in reducing hypertension and stroke risks, but also promotes bone health and plays an important role in maintaining our kidneys' health and reducing kidney stones. The adequate intake levels of potassium from 2019 are 2,600 milligrams for women and 3,400 milligrams a day for men. The World Health Organization recommends a potassium intake of at least 3.5 grams or 3,500 a day for adults to reduce blood pressure and risk of cardiovascular disease, cerebrovascular events, and coronary heart disease. Most of the population can also benefit from more fiber in their diet, and making sure I was consuming enough not only helped improve my blood pressure, but also helped my bowel movements and gut health. Looking at this systematic review and meta-analysis on dietary fiber and hypertension and cardiovascular disease management, increasing dietary fiber intake led to high certainty of substantial improvements in blood pressure in adults with hypertension. These improvements were observed regardless of the use of antihypertensives. High blood pressure not only results in deleterious mechanical stress on blood vessels, but also on the myocardium, leading to the development of hypertensive heart disease and congestive heart failure. If you want to know more, check out the links below. The health benefits of dietary fiber recommendations are between 30 to 35 grams per day for men, and between 25 to 32 grams per day for women, or scaling with a total calorie intake of approximately 14 grams for every 1,000 calories consumed. Looking at my 3,100 calorie diet, I need to be eating over 42 grams of fiber daily. The average American diet is only consuming 15 grams a day, which is about half of the recommended. What else do I do besides monitor my sodium to potassium ratios and increase fiber? I made sure to take fish oil daily unless if I was eating fish. There are multiple studies linking 3 to 5 grams of fish oil, EPA and DHA, with reduced high blood pressure and likewise reducing the risk of getting hypertension. I want you to think of it like this: every little bit helps. So fish oil drops systolic blood pressure 1 to 5 milligrams. It's worth it in my opinion. We want multiple factors contributing and complementing for a large net reduction in blood pressure. Not looking at supplements, 4 to 5 ounces of Atlantic salmon provides 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acids. With those 3 major factors discussed, let's go ahead and look at what I eat for breakfast. I do Greek yogurt, and the average is about sodium 65 to potassium 200 to 250. Greek yogurts are mostly the same, more so you just want to find one you like. I use 6 ounces of berries, which are low sugar, high fiber, no sodium, and good potassium. Looking at specific berries, 1 cup of raspberries has 8 grams of fiber, 186 milligrams of potassium. Blackberries have fiber 8 grams as well, and 233 milligrams of potassium. Blueberries have about 3.55 fiber, 114 milligrams of potassium, not as high. So I use a granola that has high protein, low fat, and low sugar. The sodium to potassium ratio is 130 to 470 with 5 grams of fiber, and healthy good fats with pumpkin seeds and almonds. Here's my fish oil I use daily, and the energy drink, which is low sugar. Quick picture of one of my lunches, which is normally before or after exercise, so there's more sweat and loss of sodium nearby. If I have 4 to 6 ounces of chicken breast, that's sodium 125 to potassium 435, or salmon, which is 100 to potassium 618. 100 grams of avocado is 6.7 grams of fiber with 484 potassium. I do eat bread. Carbs are not bad. They're actually what you use for energy. I eat Dave's Power Bread, 2 slices. It has slightly more sodium to potassium at 135 to 100, but has good fats, 5 grams of protein a slice, and 4 grams of fiber with only 1 gram of sugar a slice. So I got this avocado mayo fat, that's 50 grams of sodium. Looking at dinner, so 4 to 6 ounces of chicken and salmon or steak, which is 100 to 475 potassium. All these are good sodium to potassium if you're not using a bunch of high sodium sauces. So for carbs, these are your major sources of potassium. Baked potato, 170 grams, has almost 4 grams of fiber and over 900 milligrams of potassium. Black beans, a cup, that's 15 grams of fiber, with potassium clearing 600. Kidney beans, about the same, but even more potassium at 700 plus. And if you're looking for a carb that has higher protein, 3.5 ounce serving of chickpea pasta has got 20 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and check out this potassium, 890 milligrams for a serving. So brown rice and pasta and white rice are not significant sources of potassium, and if you're on a high blood pressure diet, I do not recommend them. So my salad that accompanies dinner or after it is normally spinach, and 100 grams of spinach has 558 milligrams of potassium, or I do a mixed green where it's 50% spinach plus others. I'll top that with light salt pistachios, which are 65 sodium and 280 potassium, pumpkin seeds of 230 milligrams of potassium, plus magnesium, iron, and zinc. Moving away from the main meals, let's look at my snacks and others that I eat throughout the day. Several of these go into a smoothie. So if we're looking at no sodium peanut butter, that's 200 milligrams of potassium. Almonds roasted unsalted, that's 210 milligrams. Mixed nuts, even salted Costco ones, have a higher ratio, 170 potassium to 85 salt. A glass of milk has 366 milligrams of potassium to sodium about 150. A medium banana, about 7 inches, has 3 grams of fiber and 420 milligrams of potassium. A 3-inch diameter apple has 4.4 grams of fiber and about 200 milligrams of potassium. Coconut water, which is a great one, has 600 milligrams of potassium in 1 cup. Looking at some vegetables, Brussels sprouts for 1 cup, which is 88 grams, has 3.3 grams of fiber and 342 milligrams of potassium. Broccoli also has 3.8 grams of fiber and about 470 milligrams of potassium. And if you want to look into some of the heavy hitters of potassium, dried apricots, 40 grams, will have 4 grams of fiber and 465 milligrams of potassium. 100 grams of dried apricots is over 1,000 milligrams of potassium. I found this other fruit called golden berries, and the dried version, just 41 grams, has 8 grams of fiber and 690 milligrams of potassium. So 100 grams of this is 20 grams of fiber and over 1,700 milligrams of potassium. That's a huge heavy hitter. So protein powder or pre-made protein drinks, I don't have these daily, but these often have slightly higher sodium to potassium ratios, like 200 to 400 sodium for 100 to 200 of potassium. And that's it. That's everything I regularly eat. With all my diet listed, sticking to these 5 to 7 days a week is optimal in lowering blood pressure. When you do eat out, it's really easy to eat like all of your sodium in one meal. So you just want to be aware of very savory foods. And I think that's the end of this video. But I have another one coming out. In part 2, I'm going to start with how I take my blood pressure. I'm going to share how improving my sleep cycle, practicing breathing patterns, spending time out in nature, and regularly exercising all played into lowering and maintaining a healthy blood pressure, body, and state of mind. Thank you for watching.